Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 2, Chapter 1, Text 77. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gopārbha-vargaiḥ, sakhibhir vane vaṁśī-mukho, rakṣati vanya-bhūṣaṇaḥ, gopāṅganā-varga-vilāsa-lampaṭo, dharmaṁ satāṁ laṅghayatītaro yathā. My Lord takes care of the cows in the forest along with his many cowherd friends. He holds a flute to his mouth and is decorated with forest ornaments. Just like an ordinary person, he transgresses the religious principles of saints, being as always addicted to playful sports with all the cowherd girls. Purport: arguing on the evidence he has gathered about his Gopal from meditating on the mantra, the Brahmin here tries to prove that the deity of his own mantra cannot be the Lord of the universe. The Brahmin is worshipable. Gopal is always in the forest with his friends, busy taking care of his cows. His flute is usually near his mouth because he very much likes playing on it. He also likes to decorate himself with forest items, like peacock feathers, garlands of kadamba flowers, red oxide tilak for his forehead, and rings of gunja berries for his ears. Like a wayward materialist, he violates the laws of cultured behavior by consorting with other men's wives and behaving in other socially forbidden ways, none of which suits the character of the Supreme Lord of the universe. Even if in some features the Brahmin's Gopal resembles the Gopal worshipped by some of the local Brahmins, the Narayan expansion called Gopal, that Gopal Narayan cannot be the same person. Lord Narayan could hardly go wandering in the forest tending cows, nor habitually break the principles of religion. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, greetings from Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram. Holy, wild. I never go out during Holi, but Niranjan Swami Maharaj is here, and I've been once or twice a day going over to Braj-Vasundar and reading Chaitanya Bhagavat. So I went over there on Gaura Parnima, and his assistant, who was staying with me, Savyasachi, picked me up on his motorbike. And I never, this is a little Braj law before the philosophy, I never go, I used to leave before Holi. You can't imagine how wild it gets. And the last day is the full moon. And then at noon it stops. You can't imagine how wild it gets. So we couldn't go the front road, so we maybe go the back road. Govardhan's expanding and they're building these roads, but we had to go through this little alley, and in every corner there were kids with, it's just their joy to lord over you by squirting you. But for 10 years, I've been saving this plastic raincoat. So this is how much of mine was. And my God, were they frustrated when they saw me? They just couldn't believe it. And they tried to stop the motorbike, but they couldn't. So that was and then we went to Sri Rupa Seva Kunj, which is developing spectacularly. There's hundreds and hundreds of devotees in their new temple. It wasn't full, but the backdrop that they made was, it was so incredible. Most beautiful backdrop I ever saw. And Jai Jagannath led Kirtan and Niranjan Swami. Great feast. So it's nice. It's kind of like my temple here. I go over there. And then it's really quieted down now. Sham Sundari is here, and Jai Jagannath, we went to the Mahabhav Dham, which is, my friend, we're so close now, there's 150 deities, and he just got 19 new ones. And there's so much bhav for devotees. When you see this person's love for the Vaishnavas, and they're works of art, they're at least $200, and he's got one beautiful one now with Sukadev and Maharaj Parikshit sitting below, and Nakula Brahmachari and his road, and it's all connected in this person's mind. From Radha Krishna to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the associates coming to Prabhupada to his disciples, and it's just a beautiful thing. He was so nice to receive us, and we just got back. So, what I like to do, because 1 week or even a few days is a long time to remember where we're at, so just give it that context, that this is Sanatana Goswami's Samadhi Bhashya. It's something he's seen in his mind. And we accept that it's happened. And because if just the concept, the logical concept, I'm explaining this again and again, the logical concept that God is beyond time and therefore has access to all points of our time. So how long is that beyond time? Time immemorial. And we think that in this small universe, this is the only pastimes of Krishna, the only... So there's unlimited pastimes. So even things that have not been written down in this universe, God's unlimited pastimes, in Samadhi, great souls may have access to it. So we get this incredible story of Maharaj Parikshit summarizing the Bhagavatam to his mother at the end of his life in answer to Sanatana Goswami's mission to present the end level of transcendence and give it to the world. And give it to the world in a way they can understand it, which means following the psychological, spiritual, intellectual progression of the Bhagavatam to cultivate your mind so that when you hear the truth, you will understand the truth. Because we filter so many things through our consciousness and our samskaras. So the first story, Narada Muni searching for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. And the second story is basically the story within the story of the story, but basically it's Uttara's quest to really deeply understand the place where the topmost recipients of Krishna's mercy reside. And Marge Prickett does this story, and it's about a Brahmin. And we're getting a theme here. This Brahmin gets this mantra. He has simple faith in the local Kamaksha deity, and he actually gets this Gopal mantra. And there's this theme where the mantra has potency independent of your understanding of it. But your understanding of it how do I put this? Your understanding of it reveals even a greater understanding and a greater effect of your mantra. So he gets this mantra and he doesn't have, and again, faith based on Shastra moves you more quickly towards your goal. But when you are associating with spiritual phenomena, without offense, like mantra, like dham, like devotees, like deities, like holy places, sadhus, it will move you in that way simply because you cannot be satisfied anyplace else once you have that faith. And we see that with so many of Prabhupada's disciples, sincere souls who dedicated their life to Prabhupada and his following Prabhupada's missionary spirit to take over the world in 10 days, giving their lives and doing it on a platform of renunciation that was beyond their personal qualification, but surviving on the love and energy of Prabhupada. And then when Prabhupada gone, and that direct inspiration they needed and authority is gone, they faltered. But because they had that mantra, neha bikamanasho sti, pratyavayana vidyate, swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate, it's never lost. Prabhupada in the purport said we should never see someone who leaves Krishna consciousness, even if he's doing the same activities as someone who is not spiritual. We should never see them the same because of that rasa graha, that somehow within that soul, it never goes a certain level of realization and taste. And eventually it carries them forward. It carries them forward. I was in Mayapur, I saw Rameshwara there, I saw Bhavananda there, loving Prabhupada, doing service. It never leaves. So we see this theme as he, because he doesn't have the right sambandha gyan, the correct metaphysical understanding of the relation of the world and God and the soul, and he doesn't understand that. He allows other things to enter his consciousness, and they give him some faith because they're so religious. At karma, nipano, vipro, mantra, tantra, there's so many things. Jnana, vairagya, they're all attractive things, and he comes through all these things. But somehow or other, his sincerity, his simple sincerity, I got this mantra from this goddess who's appeared in my dreams twice. It keeps carrying him forward and saving him. Taramadye sarvashreshte nama sankirtan nara aparade poya paya. There's 9 items of devotional service, and chanting the holy name is the best. We have to develop this faith that this nam will fulfill our desires, our heart, our objectives, our goal fully. And we have to, it's a gift. It's a gift. And it will lead us to the highest destination, which is free from all the anxiety and suffering. Look what we've got ourselves into in this material world, entangled in so many ways. And prayena alpa yasha shubha kalavas min yuge janaha manda sumanda mateo manda. It's predicted by the sages of Naimisharanya. This will be surcharged. Prabhupada said, surcharged with opposition to spiritual life. Kaler doshe nidhe rajan eko asti mahagunan kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangam param brajait. This age of Kali, it's an ocean of faults. Eko asti maha, but there's one good quality. Kirtanad, by the kirtan of Krishna, mukta sangam, we can get that relief, that liberation. And more than liberation, muktir hidvayataru sarupena, not just leaving this world, but establishing ourselves in our true identity. Ihayasya harer dasye karmana manasagira Nicholas tu avaptasu jivan mukta ihayasya harer karmana manasagira. Work, karmana work, manasa mind, get by our words if we're serving God. Such an effect. We need faith. And faith comes from Shastra and those who represent Shastra. Faith comes from hearing. So somehow or other, the mantra, this aspect of it, we saw the mantra has such potency that it keeps on driving him forward. But because he lacks faith and understanding based on direction by Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, he's moving not in a direct way. So then somehow or other, he was getting confused, depressed, because this Jnana Marg and these sadhus, and they're so renounced and they're sattvic, but the deity who gave him the mantra keeps on appearing with her husband, Lord Shiva, keeps on appearing in his dreams and impels him to go forward and directs him to go to Mathura, and he stops on Prayag and he sees Vaishnavas. and he becomes confused because they don't fit into his concept of spirituality. You know, our misconception is spiritual must be opposite of material. So if material activities have form, material activities have relationships, then the absolute truth must be opposite of that. But as one devotee said, Rasaraj, very brilliant scientist, he gave that example. I never forget it. He said, what's the opposite of poor? The opposite of poor is not no money, it's rich. So the opposite of form is not no form, it's rich form. It's rich form, it's rich activity, but it's confusing. Because, and therefore, when Raghunath Das Goswami wanted to leave home, and Lord Chaitanya told him to go back and act as an ordinary pound, shilling, and pence man, because the tendency is these forms, these relationships, this life, it's so much anxiety. Spiritual life means to negate it. I want negation. I want to be free from my anxiety. And that's liberation. But we don't have that misconception on the Bhakti Marg. Anyway, he had that misconception. He saw them and he saw them chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he saw them. He saw them chanting, what is this? And even asked that question. And one of the wise Brahmins who was chanting explained that because you're not initiated, because you haven't committed yourself to the truth and someone who represents that truth, and let yourself be surrendered and molded by that truth to realize that truth, you haven't understood the truth. And he begins to explain about the different persons there are worshiping God in different forms. And he doesn't understand, so he says, just worship Madhava, the deity. It's an Narayan form of Madhava. It has the disc and the forearms. He said, just worship this Madhava. And he said, boy, this really looks like the form of my Gopal. It really looks like, but then it can't be. He doesn't understand that there is a person who, like all persons, there's a supreme person who can manifest himself in different ways according to the relationship. And I make this point many, many times. More than anything, more than the form we have, the nationality we have, the gender we have, the creed we have, more than anything else, what defines us is our love, our relationships. Father, mother, son, daughter, friend, lover. And therefore, if we manifest in a particular way, we should still be able to identify. The father's with his friends. That is my father. The father's with his wife. That is my father. The father is with his father. That is my father. You should be able to identify that. And it should enhance your appreciation of your relationship. Prabhuta Gyan, my great, my superior, my wonderful. It should enhance it. But anyway, we're seeing, and this point is coming strongly, that without being ruled. Shastra actually means to rule. Without being ruled by truth, our march forward can be diverted in many, many ways. So he's saying, they're explaining to him, and he's saying, this can't be my Gopal, because his relationship with his deity, his mantra, was revealing so much of Brajendranandana Krishna, the cowherd boy. And he said, it cannot be the same person. Because the Lord Narayan would not be wandering. Devya prabhavad anandam asyapya radhane labhe tana jayam kadapyenam etat mantra japam nacha. By the power of the goddess, I felt bliss in worshiping him. Therefore, I shall never abandon him or my chanting of his mantra. So he's feeling some ecstasy because he's connecting with the of ecstasy, which is God. Rasa Vaisaha, the ultimate reality, is God. Eko Bhausham, and he's expanded, and there's an energy between him and that which he's expanded from called love. So he feels bliss. Because one thing too, he's not offensive, and he's dedicating himself to the mantra, so he can feel something. I felt bliss, and therefore I shall never abandon. Purport: Vaishnavas may question how one could realize ecstasy in worshiping anyone other than the Supreme Lord, but the Brahmin counters that is possible by the potency of the goddess Kamakya. Since she ordered him to chant the mantra, and since he feels such pleasure in chanting, why should he give it up? So that's his faith. Again, faith is trust by experience. So he had his experience. I think our faith is in two ways. One is that experience of contacting God in a very innocent way. And then the second thing is with that faith, coming in contact to the authorities of that faith, and then looking through the world through their eye. In Hari Kirtan's very excellent Gita, he describes one of his objectives, and I really like it, that we shouldn't see the Gita through the world, we should see the world through the Gita. And that's our faith. You get a lens into reality. You know, I went to Rishikesh, and I told you something about Dhanurdhara Swami's mind-blowing retreat. And when you walk around Rishikesh, you just see so many yogis. But what you don't see is people who have some bandhagyan, have some knowledge, have some understanding. In one sense, it's sad. It's like that song by the Beatles, All the Lonely People, where Where do they all come from? That's really the vision. But anyway, he may not have come into that level of faith where you look through the Shastra and you get good ideas. I remember I went to a Yoga Sutra class by Pradyumna, and he described the mind. The healthy mind has a klishna-vritti, thoughts that are good, more than klishna-vritti, thoughts that are bad. Thoughts that are good are things that are favorable for the expansion and flourishing of your consciousness, attachment to those things, and aversion to those things that are bad for the expansion of your consciousness and your contentment and your perception. And bad thoughts are when you have attachment to things that are bad for you. And you're averse to the things that are good for you that can change your consciousness. So the quality of a mind depends on the percentage of good thoughts in relationship to bad thoughts. But he explained how this all changes. He said, when you hear from the Shastra, you get good ideas. I love how he used language. You get good ideas about which really are the things that are favorable for your expansion of consciousness, and which are the things you avoid that will degrade it. And then hearing that and thinking about that, you begin to apply it. If you apply it enough times, then that conception becomes a good thought within your mind. And you read Shastra, you apply Shastra, you do that enough time, your mind changes. Evam sapurva. So we'll read the next verse. So he felt bliss enough that became his faith. Because I'll never abandon him or chanting, because this is good. Evam sapurva van mantram tam japam nirjane nijam devam sakshad ivekshita satāṁ Sanga prabhavata. Thus the Brahmin continued chanting the mantra in seclusion as before, and by the power of the saintly company of the Vaishnavas, he would see his Lord as if directly in person. So the Vaishnavas there told him, no, you meditate on the deities, you hear Shastra, and your awareness of God will become more and more. So by the power of that, his simple faith, by his experience, and his determination by his understanding, and the experience by the application of what he's heard in relationship to that, he got darshan. Purport: since the ignorant Brahmana lacked the instructions and blessings of a pure devotee spiritual master, he had not yet developed true knowledge and faith, but still he was reaping the benefits of sadhu Sanga in Prayag. Even without the support of Guru and Shastra, he was making some advancement by associating favorably with Vaishnavas. He kept chanting the 10-syllable Gopal mantra, renowned among all mantras as the most excellent. And as his heart became more and more cleansed, he entered into an intense meditation in which he saw the Lord as vividly as if the Lord were physically present. There is a sadhana kram. the name is not different than Krishna. So within the name is also the form. It's the qualities, 64 qualities of Krishna, all his qualities, and the Leela, which includes his associates. And by chanting sincerely, this is supposed to manifest gradually. My focus now is my chanting, that it should be as concentrated as possible in the morning, because I know that that's the best thing for everything in my life. For my whole existence, that's the most important thing. Vastu svabhavadananda murchan apnoti karhichit yutaya japa kalapa gamam alaksha sochati. Because of the nature of the object of his meditation, he sometimes fainted in ecstasy. And when he woke up and noticed that the time for chanting his mantra had been lost, he would lament. Sometimes, purport, the ecstasy of his meditation made all external functions of his senses stop, as if he had achieved samadhi. The symptom was but a superficial reflection of the advanced conditions of bhava and prema. It arose not from mature understanding of the object of meditation, but from the transcendental influence of the object itself. So very clearly stated that there's two things that go on. The revelation from the mature understanding, and then the influence of the object himself. I'm trying to think of analogy. Maybe there's these cases. There was this demoniac psychologist that, wanted to study nature and nurture. So when twins were in an orphanage, he would split them up, and they would never know that they had brothers and sisters. And there's a famous story that there were triplets, and they looked exactly alike. And then somehow they were in the same area, and then someone, imagine seeing your, what is it called, doppelganger? I forgot what it was. Seeing the exact replica, or said there's an exact replica, and then, you go and open the door, it's you, and then there's another person that's involved. It's a whole story. So you may have been friends with that person, you may have felt something, but when you knew it was your brother, you had that understanding, then so much more came out. That's the best I can do now. It's not a perfect analogy. Upadrovo yamko menu jatu vigyo mahankila nasamapto japo medya tano ratriyamagata. What is the cause of this disturbance? Now I am in great trouble. Night has fallen before I can finish today's chanting. Okay, so he had fainted in ecstasy, and he realized that he hadn't finished. And it was, he said, it's an obstruction. to fulfilling my vow. And the night had come before I could finish my chanting. So, Kim nidra vibhavo yame, Kim bhuta vibhavo tava, ahoma dusvabhavo yach, chokastane pirit sukham. Have I fallen asleep or become haunted by a ghost? Oh, I am so wicked that even when I have reason to be sad, I feel happiness in my heart. So intellectually, he's saying, I'm disappointed, there's an obstacle, etc. But somehow, this simple faith, the influence of the object, independent of understanding it. I think of my cousin, Maseva Bharati, bless her soul. She's an Indian citizen. Some of her last days or whatever, I don't know last days, but when they do come, she has a place and she lives in some place in the Himalayas, in the Rishikesh, so that's nice. But when she came to Vrindavan, she didn't understand. She just was visiting her cousin and said, what is this sweetness? What is this sweetness? And then she came to Govardhan. And she said, this is even more sweet. This is even more sweet. But without transcendental knowledge, she didn't move forward in that. Trying to answer his own question about the cause of the problem, the Brahmin guessed that he might have fallen asleep. But since he didn't feel tired, he guessed again that something else might have happened, like being attacked by a ghost. One day, however, while lamenting in this way, as he began to feel drowsy from fasting, he saw Lord Madhava, who consoled him and gave him this instruction. Purport, once again, the Brahmin had fallen into trance of ecstasy, and upon awakening, he became upset with himself. This time he felt so discouraged that he finished the day without eating, which made him feel sleepy. Lord Madhava, the deity of Dashashvamedha Tirtha, then appeared to him in this sleep-like state and said something like, why are you lamenting for no good reason? And why are you causing distress to me, your worshipful deity? I assure you that all your ambitions will soon be achieved. And so this is what the deity said. Dear Brahmin, please remember the words of Vishveshvara, the husband of Uma. Go by the path along the shore of the Jamuna to Sri Vrindavan. By my mercy, there you will obtain extraordinary pleasure. Go and don't delay anywhere on the road for any reason. Thus the Brahmin arose early in the morning and happily set out on his journey. Gradually he came to blessed Madhupuri and bathed at Vishram Tirtha. So he first, it's Vishram Ghat, Mathura. He went on to Vrindavan and there felt enlivened at every moment, for while chanting his mantra, he saw in meditation most of the companions and surroundings from Krishna's pastimes. He wandered here and there in the cow-adorned land without meeting any people, but at one place on the eastern side of Keshi Tirtha, he heard someone trying. Heading in the direction of that sound, he heard it mingled with constant Nam Sankirtan performed in pure love, and so he looked for the person chanting. He entered a dense, dark forest where he couldn't see anyone, but he discerned the place from which the sound coming, and he eagerly went there to the bank of the Jamuna. There in a grove of kadamba trees, he found a handsome young man whose body was very tender with the dress and accoutrements of a cowherd. Mistaking this person for his worshipful deity, the Brahmin joyfully called out, "O Gopal," and fell to the ground like a rod to offer respects. Okay, we're going to get into some real juicy stuff. I will end for today, so stay tuned. Okay. Doppelganger. Okay, thank you. So, Jamunajaya, what touched you today?
I'm just really loving the whole play between the faith and but you need the Shastra. And you said it so well, Maharaj. When you said, without being ruled by truth, our march forward can be diverted in so many ways. That's just like, that just nails it. Without being ruled by truth, and we can see this fellow, his simple faith, but he's not ruled by truth, and so mistaking things. And yeah, that play of that we need the Shastra and the faith is so beautifully played out here.
You said it well, even better than me. Thank you.
You said
Good.
it, Maj.
Okay. Gail,
Krishna.
what do you have today?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you. Yeah, a couple things. One is, when you were saying that the real person is their loving relationships. And so I was thinking about that judge who, at home he might give his grandson piggyback rides or something. So
Right.
when a child sees their parent, in the courtroom, how does he, because the behavior is so totally, totally drastically different. So how is it that he sees his parent in that judge?
Well, because it's not the whole person. There's a form of that person, but the greater understanding of the person is their love. So he sees the high court judge, and he sees his father.
Yeah, but he's not seeing that love. When the
Yes,
judge.
he is. Yes, he is. He is. He's seeing. It may not be exhibited, but he's seeing. That's my father.
Okay, so now it sounds like we're focusing more on the form, not the love.
No, no, not at all. He sees this is my father. It's just like if my mother, my mother analogies are very good, right? She sees me as the guru, right? But what is she seeing? She's seeing her son,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though she's seeing me sitting higher than the high court judge on Vyas Puja. No high court judge sits like I sit on Vyas Puja, right?
Yeah,
But
oh boy. I have vivid memory of the fact that she saw her son as a high court judge. One unforgettable Vyasa Puja.
and when she was poking her
Yeah.
cane inside to get another cookie, I get no respect, no respect.
So thank you for that, how should I say, for evoking that memory. You answered my question for me that way.
No, it's true, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it's a
Okay,
perfect.
Mirage, let me squeeze in this one too. You know, Krishna's system is that, we, in order to make it to the top, his mercy representation must be there in the form of guru. But it seems like this Gopakumar, he got practically to the pinnacle without guru. He got darshan.
First of all, I don't think this is Gopakumar yet.
Oh, is it not?
No, I don't think it's
Okay,
Gopakumar.
but anyway, this guy, he got darshan without even guru. How is it?
Well, let's read on and we'll see what happens. Okay? You ask the same question next week. Okay? And we'll see
Okay,
what
and
happens.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
another class you had called him unintelligent is because he didn't have sambandha, no? Is that the reason?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Gail. Okay. Anybody like to say hello? give me and everybody a sense of the audience. Haribo.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Lal Govinda.
And Braja, thank you for class.
Thank you for class.
Oh, let me look at my calendar here. I just want to see how many it's March. It's okay. I have a little bit more than about 2 weeks left. 2 weeks left here. Holi was wild. I mean, when I had my raincoat, I beat the system. I saved it for 10 years. I never went out before. And it was, translucent. And it covered me down there. I rode on the back of the motorbike, and those kids were so frustrated.
Was it the
you guys try to lord over me. You can't lord over me.
was it the water guns or the
water? They couldn't get a spot on my clothes. Okay.
Incredible.
Okay,
Can't
Haribo.
see you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Miguel, say hello.
Maharaj.
Surya Radhika here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo, from Vancouver?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Maharaj, is it possible that we have a video call with you?
Right after this.
Right after this?
No.
I could it be like, I don't know, not right after this. A bit later, I
When
think.
do you want to have the call?
What's that?
When do you want to have the call?
I don't know, what time is it best for you?
Okay. You want to call me in a half hour?
Okay.
Yeah, we text you.
Or some other day?
Yeah, in half an hour. Yeah, it works.
I'll call you because I have to do something. I'll call you when I'm finished.
Okay.
Sometime a half hour or a little bit more. Okay, Haribo.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Maharaj.
You just here, Haribo.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I have to tell you that when you talked about the protective raincoat idea, that Tamal Krishna Goswami jumped out, and I saw him excitedly, getting one for you and another one, and having somebody bring like 50 of them there.
You would say he would do it, but...
Oh, yeah, he would love that idea. Just like that hat from China that you could fold up, the flat one. Yeah. Anyway,
this was
thank you.
perfect. It hung down to my ankles. It covered my face. But I never go out. It was only because I would never go out on Gaur Purnima.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it just goes so heavy you can't even imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought to take the risk for Indradyumna Swami, so not for Naranjan Swami. Okay, you just Haribo.
Jai Maharaj.
Okay, Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
Ishri Sundari, nice to see you. Haribo.
Haribo. See you soon.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Haribo. Who else? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Yvette.
Yvette, nice to see you. Okay,
You too.
Great. I like
See you soon.
steady in the classes. That's great.
Yes.
I
Wouldn't
like
miss them. They're great. Thank you.
I feel that. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Malata Radha.
Hey, Malata, Haribo. Good.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so
Great.
much for class.
Okay, great. Okay, it's the morning there. Okay, so you get the class in the morning. Okay, Haribo, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you so much for your class and for the description of Holi. I can imagine how it was. Thank you.
Okay, Haribo. Who else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta here.
Bṛhad, Haribo.
Hare
Good. I'm
Krishna.
coming back soon. We'll have to arrange something at your house.
Sure,
Sure.
Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to head out now. Vaṁśī-mukho